This middle section of the website that I'm creating is all about the Softener Salt Dolly. And I like to have the slogan, never lift another salt bag again. And literally that is true. I do not see myself ever lifting a 40-pound salt bag again. The purpose of this section of the website is how to set up a home water system, show you how to never lift another salt bag again, show you how to complement a very efficient geothermal system to your water system, and show you an example of the containment construction that I use in my house for my water system. And then at the end I will show you a demonstration of the Softener Salt Dolly itself. So I want to start with the water system in the house. First thing is, steps, stairs, and ladders are inherently dangerous. Carrying salt bags down basement steps is especially dangerous. I used to do it. My old house, I actually moved my softener system 100 feet away to a barn so that I didn't have to carry them down the basement steps. Here we've got a crawl space, and when we moved in, the softener system was already set up in the garage. We just enhanced it a little bit. The thing about people building a new house especially is you've got 100 things on your mind, and you don't really think about the softener system. And most home builders are going to put it in the basement because that's the way it's done, they'll tell you. Well, most people, when they realize and carry that first bag down in the basement steps after they build a new home, they kind of all of a sudden think, what the heck did I do here? This is crazy carrying these bags down into the basement. So it's too late almost then, unless you do like I do and revamp your plumbing system, which I highly recommend you do. When you build a new house, put your softener system, your whole water system, up against an interior wall of your house, and you'll never regret it. Even if you don't use the Softener Dolly system, all you've got is back your car into the garage and you've got a little walk for your salt bags as opposed to going down basement steps. I know people that literally throw those bags down the steps because they get so mad about carrying them down. Of course, they break maybe one bag every 10, 15 that fall down there, so they got another mess to clean up. But the most important thing is put it in your garage. And I've got two thermometers here, one on the outside and one inside my containment compartment. And last year we had a week and a half of 0-degree temperatures. So I wanted to see what the difference was. Well, the actual temperature in the garage went down to 28 degrees, below freezing, and that's what what it was when it was 0 degrees outside. So I looked in here on this thermometer, exactly the same thermometer, same brand, everything. I even calibrated them when I bought them, make sure they read the same. And in here, the temperature was about 50 degrees difference. Well, not 50, it was 51 degrees inside this compartment when it was 0 degrees outside for a couple of weeks. Now, 51 degrees in this compartment will never freeze. So if you hear a guy that's building your house say, well, you can't put that in your garage, that's going to freeze out there, you just tell him to pack it and tell him to put that softener up in your garage. Because when you hear people say that, you know they're talking BS. And just ignore them. You have that contractor put your system like this is. Now another thing is, when I bought a new pressure tank and put this system together, the guy at the store said, well, how many people's in your house? And I said, well, we only have 2 people living here. So he was going to sell me a pressure tank half that size. And I said, no, no, no. I says, this house may have 6 people living in it someday. I says, what happens then? They got to change their water pressure tank. So when you go to buy, and he says, this is all, you only need a small unit, you tell him that you're not that stupid and that you want a unit that will handle 5 or 6 people. And that's what I did here. Now the softer system is a Kinetico system. This is the second one I've had. I've had one at my previous house. It was flawless. And the great thing about a Kinetico system is it uses or recycles on the amount of water you use. There's no complicated timing systems in it. Much simpler operation. And I found them to be very dependable. We've got our water filter here. We change it every time we go and get salt. We get 7 bags. That's about every 3 months, something like that. But every 7 bags, I go ahead and change the filter. I use a little Vaseline on the O-ring. It seems like it seals it up better that way. And I don't know why. I just put a little Vaseline on the rubber O-ring in there. And that seems to work okay. The salt tub is Kinetico, people. I used to fill them up like this thinking, well, that'd be good for a few weeks. Well, what happens if you go away sometimes on vacation for a 3-4 week period, you've got a chance of that salt solidifying in there. Then you've got a real problem. This tub full of salt that's solidified is like carrying a huge rock around. They told me never put any more than about this level of salt in. And that's what I do. And so never put too much salt in your salt tub. Keep it down to the bottom quarter, bottom third, and you'll never run into the trouble that I had. Put a new water heater in. This used to be down in the crawl space. We brought the old one up and got rid of it, and then we got a new one here since I was rebuilding everything. Again, they were saying that a 50-gallon tank or smaller would be all we need. Well, I wanted to go as big as I could that would fit inside my structure. Again, we're well set up for people buying this house and having 6 people in the family. Nobody's got to redo anything. I've got a geothermal system in the house. It's a water furnace is the name of the brand. This is my second one of these. At the other house I had geothermal also. Very efficient, and you wouldn't believe the air conditioning, the coolness that comes out of the vents. But basically, the air conditioning really heats up the water heater and saves on our energy costs there. You have to run this sink about 15-20 minutes. That's hot water right there. I got it all on cold. You have to run it about 15-20 seconds, 30 seconds to get to where you feel good cold water. That exchange heat from the geothermal unit is transferred into the water heater, and it actually, you can feel it going back into the cold lines too. It works so good as far as transferring heat. So that is my water system. I built a sink over my geo unit to kind of cut down on the humming noise that it makes, and it did a good job. I've got a press fit door here, a press fit door here. I'll show you how those go in and out later. And my son made fun of me. He says, you're the only guy I know that would put a sink over a furnace unit. And I put this in just in case I have a leak pipe or sink leaks, and that will allow it to run over here and go down. And I got holes here that allow it to go into the drain there. Now this system here, if you have it in the basement and you need it up to the top, the guy's going to say, well, you won't have any place for your discharge tube or your pressure relief line that comes out of your water heater. Well, all you do is go through your baseboard, just like I replumbed all of this. I drilled holes through my baseboard, connected it to my system in the house so that everything works well. Any plumber worth his weight in salt should be able to figure this out and get it. I've got numerous shutoff valves I put in. I've been a believer always, and you can never have enough shutoff valves. The other thing is I've got a dedicated breaker back there to the water heater. Sometimes they put things on a circuit where if you turn your breaker off, all of a sudden your basement lights go out or something like that. Well, when I work on this, I just trip the breaker there. It's dedicated to this, and this is all that it shuts down. The same with the pressure tank. I put a dedicated breaker box on it. So if we have to work on this, we just turn this breaker box off, and we won't disturb any other circuits in the house. So that is the system. Let me go through my notes real quick. Oh, the other thing is the humidity in the summertime. Before I had such a nice containment system here, when it got to be 80% humidity outside in the summer, all these pipes would sweat. And they would, I can feel them now since it's exposed, they're already getting wet. And they would drip down, and the concrete had just a little flaw in it where actually you'd have a little river come out here. And since I put it in a containment system, that humidity does not make the pipes sweat. Again, they're starting to sweat now. It's about 80 degrees outside, 85. But that containment system really controls the humidity in there, keeps everything dry. Okay, let me see. Oh, I use PEX lines. It's a new type of plumbing material. Everybody's going to it on this system. The crimping pads, a lot of them I double crimped. The same with my pressure tank when I put it in. I put double stainless steel hose clamps on every junction, just as a matter of precaution. Just a few bucks more, but a little bit more sense of security there. We're at a building renovation in Lima, and they used PEX lines, but I noticed they had copper crimps that they were using. And they showed me these copper crimps. This, you need a handle about, foot and a half long to crimp them together. What they used was these copper units, and they were half the price of these stainless steel crimps. And they said you just use a small little hand wrench. So if I was to do this again, I would check out those new copper type connectors and see how they work. It sounds like the guy working on them said that they work much better, they're easier, and they've never had one fail on them in the years they've been using them. So that is something to look at. Now my entrance door to this, I'll show you later when I have the front panels back on, allows me to reach in through my shut-off valves to the outside faucets, shut-off valves here to go into the water tank. I've got shut-off valves up here in and out, and I've got shut-off valves down there. I've got shut-off valves to the unit going into here. Another thing about this unit, a week after I got it all in, I was really proud of it and everything. I went to wash the car, and I wanted to get a bucket of warm water. Well, I went and thought, well, you dummy, you, I have to still go in the house get a bucket of warm water. So I replumbed everything, and I've got hot water and cold water here. So now if I want a bucket of warm water to wash the car, I don't go in the house. I get it right out of these spigots here. So that is the water system in the house. I think if you were to have your building contractor set this up against an interior wall of your garage, you will never regret it. I built this myself. I'm no carpenter. You can see I've got it insulated on the sides, insulated on the top, insulated over here on the side. But the interior wall I let go because I believe the warmth from the house should come out and add to it rather than letting it lose heat. I've got these doors here that I took off. I've got 1-inch solid insulation on each of these, and works real nice. You can see my screws that I took out to take these doors off. I just took them off a few minutes ago, and it only took a few minutes to get access to your unit here. I don't know what there is, 15 screws maybe going in. Again, use the deck screws with a Torx Star driver. Phillips screws are the worst invention in the world. And get yourself the Torx Star driver screws. These have been in and out probably 5, 6, 7 times already. When I'm building things, you kind of correct things as you build them. So these have been in and out 6, 7 times, and they're still good. I'll probably this time put in new ones just to make sure, because I don't plan on opening this up anytime in the future. The other thing is on the filter, took a shower one day and started tasting a little salty to the water. And here, the Kinetico guy said that's the first sign that you haven't changed your filter. That and the loss of flow, pressure. And of course, you lose a little bit of pressure every day for a few months, you really don't notice it. But the taste of the salt came through, and that's what it was. So if you taste salt in your system, then you've been negligent in changing your filter. Again, we buy 7 bags when we go, about every 2 to 3 months, and we change the filter every 7 bags. They say to do it much more frequently than that, but I'm cheap, and as long as everything's working good and I don't lose pressure, I'm just going to do it every 7 bags. All right, I think I've got everything pretty much explained on how to have your contractor set up a new house especially, and for people that carry those bags down in the basement, I highly recommend you get yourself, I did all this myself. I'm not a plumber, I'm not a carpenter, but an average capable person can do this himself. There's how-to books out there that's very helpful, either with the breakers electrically or with the plumbing and the lines and connections. There's enough how-to books that the average guy can do everything here, because this was done by me and I'm just the average guy. So again, get that softener up out of the basement. I get a kick out of, we put our business cards out at a place and where they sell a lot of salt, and so we walked around different people picking up salt and explaining what we had. And the funniest, shouldn't say it's funny, but numerous guys said, well, that's what my kids are for, or that's what my grandkids are for. And basically, to me, it was kind of like, well, you don't care much for your grandkids. You're willing to let them take a trip down your stairs? Said I shouldn't laugh, but some people make you laugh. But think of your grandkids and think of your kids. They can injure themselves just as well as you can, and they'll heal faster, but when they turn 60, they'll start remembering that because all of a sudden the arthritis sets in on those injuries. So, don't mean to laugh at certain people, but they do make me laugh. So, I can't think of too much more talk about the system itself. We're probably going to stop here. I'm going to put my doors back on, take a couple minutes. I'll probably show you the last screw or two I put in. And over here, I'm going to show you how these are just press fit boards. I use shims, those tapered shims, to make them fit nice and everything. And I'll show you how well they fit. They had no bolts in them, no screws, no hinges. You just slide them in and press them in on each of them. I'll show you how that is once I get these doors started. And so this will be the end of the water system itself. Thank you.